Hey everyone, welcome to George's Library. My name is George, and today I want to talk about Dune Messiah by Frank Herbert. This is the second book in the Dune saga. So I know that my review for Dune was a negative one. I have to say that after a reread of Dune, I started growing a new appreciation for the books and for its writing. I've changed my point of view and I decided to, instead of criticizing it, to just let myself go along with the story, go along with Herbert's narrative and see how it goes. And it felt to me like instead of the modern new twist every chapter type of writing that we have today, what he did back in those days was something Hitchcock would have done, which is to give you the entire plot from the very beginning, chapter 1, and then just allow the reader to be in a state of suspense for the rest of the read while seeing how all the story develops and all the story evolves in front of his eyes, and the characters practically falling into the trap that was set for them from the very beginning. And then, having small differences here and there that may or may not make you think that, oh, what if things will change? What if they're actually not falling into the trap? Only to realize that they still are, and things are still not on the hero's side. Once I got the hang of that, the novel Dune started looking different to me. I started appreciating it more. I started thinking about how the impact of that kind of writing had on the rest of the fantasy or science fiction genre in all platforms today, and started allowing me to pay more attention to the world building and to appreciate all the themes and all the ideas that Herbert put into these stories, and how amazing they are, and how incredibly experimental he was. And ultimately, that just made me curious to see what the sequel to Dune is about and where Paul Atreides' story is actually going. And Dune Messiah definitely surprised me. It's much quieter, much darker, and honestly the most depressing of the Dune books I've read so far. So without any further ado, let's get into the story. Dune Messiah picks up about 12 years after the events of Dune. Paul Atreides, or Muad'Dib, is now Emperor of the world. But instead of the triumphant victory that you might expect after the first book, we find Paul in the middle of a crumbling empire. Billions have died in his name through a holy war he never really wanted. And he's trapped in this role as both Messiah and tyrant. The plot revolves around conspiracies against Paul's rule. But what's really at the heart of the story is Paul himself. He struggles with power, destiny, and the crushing weight of being worshipped as a god. It's a very internal, character-driven book rather than an action-heavy one. What struck me most is how Herbert took the hero's journey from Dune and immediately turned it on its head. Dune Messiah is the anti-heroic sequel. It shows the cost of that victory, the corruption of the prophecy, and the despair of someone who can see the future and can't change anything about it. The whole book has this suffocating atmosphere. Instead of the sweeping desert battles of Dune, we're in these grand palaces, in political chambers, in shadows where plots unfold. It's claustrophobic, and it makes you feel Paul's despair and isolation. Herbert also plays with questions of free will versus faith. Paul has this almost godlike vision, but that doesn't really make him any more powerful. It makes him tragic. He sees where things are heading, but can't change them without even worse consequences. That tension makes the book feel very Shakespearean, almost like a tragedy. For me, reading Dune Messiah was very different from reading Dune, where the first book is epic, cinematic, and full of momentum. Messiah is intimate and deeply unsettling. I can completely understand why some readers don't love it. It's slower, it's heavy, and there's not much in the way of payoff or spectacle. But at the same time, I think that's what makes it so powerful. Herbert isn't interested in giving us a power fantasy. He's showing us the cost of power, the corruption of religion, and the crushing weight of destiny. By the end, I felt genuinely hollowed out, but in a good way. Like I just read something important, something that challenges how we think about heroes in science fiction. So that's Dune Messiah for you. It's not my favorite Dune book, but it is definitely the most haunting. It's tragic, it's uncomfortable, and it makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about Dune. If you've read Messiah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you find it as heavy or depressing as I did? Or did you come away with a different reaction? And if you've only read Dune so far, I'd say go into this one expecting a different experience. But also be ready for one of the most interesting deconstructions of a hero in science fiction. Okay, hope you stay safe, be kind, and keep on reading. I'll see you next time.